It's Saturday, it's May 20th, 2023. I went for a run this morning, 5K. I ran there, I ran back. It was raining today as well, but I still finished. Um, Before I left, I was watching something came on called A Curious Traveler. They spoke of the Phoenicians, a temple to Venus in Iris, Italy. So I was listening to the words that the gentleman was using since I don't have access to this level of in my life frame. Again, and I'm trying to figure out where that's relevant. Um, and then I'm thinking of Fiddler on the Roof. And what is my purpose with trying to find the Red Cross Church on Sundays? And what am I missing in this, like, what feels like, I don't know, is it competing priesthoods or some post-apocalyptic version? I'm really having a hard time like finding and putting words to it. So I'm looking to see where the other humans got to, and I definitely did not receive the same opportunity or gifts as several other parts of the population. I do on the American side and on the European side have noble blood, but on the European side, they, when they came to America, had much more opportunity than those born in America. They had, I mean, again, they they got places within their lifetime. America was good to them. I have not had, being born here, my mother did not receive the same opportunity, and nor have I, and I don't know why. Um, so and I'm also having a problem. I just spoke with one of the neighbors. There's this sulfur smell that's coming up through the grates. Again, I smelt it on Bell Boulevard, but more importantly, and I mentioned it to two neighbors actually, over by the lake where I was running the other day. It was coming up again, and my health benefits, it worries me about some form of chemical agent because my proprioception is off in sideways balance and my eyes being able to focus. My forward motion seems to be okay, but my side to side balance seems to be pulled off. And again, I don't know if it's environmental, if it's some form of um, cosmology. I'm really having, but there is definitely something that's in an aerosol that's inhaled like an like aroma, like an aroma that is smelled. It's very pungent. It's very sulfury based. I don't know exactly what it is, but then for the health to deteriorate, um, and for the loss of muscle ability, I'm not able to run like I used to run. I'm having trouble carrying my own weight, and at the moment, I look like I have the body of Athena, in the sense of the curious traveler, um, which is a sobering statement.
Status made Eryx not afraid of heights because when those Elemians came, they chose a pretty precarious spot to build their temple. On this cliff overlooking the Tyrrhenian Sea, about 2,500 feet high in the air. What is it with the ancient people and picking the trickiest mountaintop as a construction site? I love locations like this because it's fun to learn that places like maybe a Christian church is on top of a pagan temple,
Yes.
or in this case, it's a castle on top of a castle on top of a temple. So, what do we have here, and what is underneath that we can't see?
Well, a very good question. Let's say that just over there, you can see that is the rock of Ericha.
Okay.
That is the place where different cultures, like the Shakanians, later the Hellenians, probably Trojan settlers, later the Phoenicians and the Romans, everybody used to worship a goddess of love and fertility. And we know that the Romans, in particular, when they were here more than 2,000 years ago, they constructed a temple that they dedicated to the goddess of love, beauty, and fertility, Venus.
That's right. In fact, there is some incredible proof that an ancient temple to Venus was here where the castle is today. These ancient Roman coins with Venus on one side and that Erice temple on the other. When the Carthaginians ruled Erice, the temple was dedicated to Ishtar. When the Greeks ruled, it was dedicated to Aphrodite. Amazing. Now, you would think with an archaeological treasure like this, the temple would be preserved at all costs, right? Nah.
The Normans, who came from Normandy, from northern France, when they took the control of Sicily in 1093, they destroyed the temple and they used the materials, the columns, the capitals, to construct a castle. So today we call this castle Venice Castle. It is constructed on the ruins of a previous temple.
We call that medieval recycling.
Yes, right.
They
it's
didn't,
medieval
yeah,
recycling. Yeah,
they
right.
didn't. They didn't see the ancient site as something that
Nothing.
should be preserved. They said, "Oh, there's some rocks.
Yes,
we'll
right.
take those."
They said that's a rock. Okay, let's construct it. Let's do something new, different. Yeah, they tried to recycle everything. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, after the castle was built in the Middle Ages, this lovely town developed its medieval character soon after. So, as you make your way back down the mountain, pondering all of Erice's ancient history, take time to get lost in the maze of cobbled medieval streets. And
it had a placard, Antonio, which is my grandfather's name, in this place. But again, that I noticed Fiddler on the roof as far as movie making. It's the first place I've ever seen the three letters JEW displayed as somebody's last name. It's the first time I've ever seen it in America, which I thought was an interesting find. Also, it is it takes place, it says Tsarist Russia, but I think the film location, it says Yugoslavia, again, important in the world before everyone forgot here, because these are things that are not spoken of. No, I don't even have my own personal ancestral history. I wouldn't even know where to go to obtain it. Like, there's no contacts here. There's been no project. Like, I heard, I got a phone call that's from Ancestry.com that they were putting things online. I tried that. That led nowhere. Again, these competing priesthoods here seem to have, like, really stunted my growth and made it very difficult for me to even find my own roots and for me to even get out of poverty. And I don't know, because of my blood type, and I'm only 10% of world population left on this earth. I don't know if there are other children that are the 90% that perhaps could be trying to block or harm me in some way. I have evidence of it in several different aspects, where I've tried to get out and get ahead. And of course, for me, I always take this stance when I'm out and I'm interacting with the 90%. I always try to be more like a Disney princess in Disney World. Like, I try to take that stance, at like a meet and greet type of a thing. I've taken that to heart, but I've completely lost touch with the 10% flock that still exists. I have no idea where they went. I have no idea what they're up to. I have no idea. Like, what I'm looking for, I saw on Fiddler on the Roof. I mean, like, the one thing that I really appreciated about the movie was, even though they don't have much of anything, what they do have in their small village is they have community. They have a group of men that meet, that talk, that they have that like safety in numbers, to look over the other village details. I do like the fact that they had a yenta. I mean, I've heard that word my entire life. That there was somebody who, and I've heard the word bizbietica as well, but yenta, the fact that she's in everybody's business, she knows everybody's children. So if you need a matchmaker, she's the one you want to know. I have no idea where that was in my life frame. I don't know who served that purpose, or why was that service taken away from my ability? I have no idea. But it seems like a lot of time was spent waiting by the blue phone to ring. And while it did ring, the actual showing up when it came time, I don't know who blocked or who interfered. And it just had this dismal effect on my ability to get to where I needed to be. So I'm going to put on this piece of Fiddler on the Roof of what now I'm searching for my son, because I've been so mishandled. I'm trying to find this for he. And even in this small community of Bayside, I don't know where to find this for him. I don't know if Lewis has this ability or not. He's found, now he's no longer with the Dark Lord. He is now with David, thank God. And he's walking with David. So I am so wholeheartedly thankful for whatever blessing and intervention by the GOD put David back in my father's life. Again, this has some form of ties to my ancestral history, but it says Fiddler on the roof. It says poor Jewish milkman, wife, and 5 daughters in Tsarist Russia was the preface. I've watched the whole movie. The only thing relevant was there's a constable to villager reference. I don't want to get into the details of who was who in my family ancestry, but I'm here in America. And while in Europe, one served loyally, in America, in my life frame, so in my ancestral roots here, after he was very loyal in Europe, there has been, it looked like it was starting off great, but there's some real challenges or some real unspoken truths that are really have had devastating effects on my ability to maintain status here, or even find something even that resembles familial ties.
Even though she only burned his cooking, he is permitted to divorce her.
Just for supper?
I'm sorry, Rabbi. Yes, of course. What news over the outside world at last?
Oh, it's terrible, Rabbi, terrible.
Then don't tell me. If I want bad news, I'll read about Noah and the flood. Tell me, Ephraim. Surely somewhere there are good things happening. Can't you buy a paper that prints those things?
It's not my fault, Rabbi. I only read it.
Rabbi, did you hear the news?
More bad news?
No, good news. And what was entitled, A New Arrival.
And you arrival
See, some version of this is what I expected. And that's kind of what I've now found for Anthony in a very minimalist way, in returning to Zion, in Douglaston. I'm very grateful for the community that has shown up, that has really welcomed us, or at least makes us feel welcomed, to the best of their ability. I don't know where else to go because the school that my son goes to, there's some form of unspoken truths going on there that I can't quite ascertain. I know I don't know if he's the only RH negative, but it looks like he may be one of very slim number, like I can count on my two hands, and really count on my one hand, to be honest. Inside of the whole school, the rest would be the RH positives. So I know that in history, like, you look to your own for blessings, but they've been, I don't know what happened. And now, not to upset the Cold Spring Harbor crew, but there was one person in my junior year, when I really think back on it, but there was no formal introduction between he and I, but I believe his name was Jay. I don't know what his real name was, but that was the name that they used. And I don't know what his last name was, because again, I didn't really have any classes with him. I didn't have any introduction to him, and he never spoke to me. So that makes it a little difficult, and especially being that there was only one. But again, he looked like he was probably the correct blood type. But there was only limited amount in school, and there was no classes together. There was no forward anything. So, I mean, I don't understand how introductions work at this point. Really, I don't. I don't know what was expected. There's been no rules provided. There's been just a whole lot of I don't know, competition at levels that don't seem to really have the crux of the situation at heart. It looks like now they're trying to make some kind of an effort, which I greatly appreciate. But it wasn't supposed to work this way. And I don't know. I just don't know at this point. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza. It's Earth, Solar System, Milky Way, Universe, Galaxy is broken. And it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.